So yes, next Wednesday, next Wednesday, April 15, Sam Abel follow-up, first and best of a sequence, and the 6-photo poem using the principles of Sam Abel that I went over in my talk in January. The talk was recorded, and the reference for that recording is in the newsletter and on the website. The poem and the first and best can be sent to me via the link that's in the newsletter, or the participants can just screen share. We'll be doing this over Zoom, so you don't have to send it to me in advance. And there's no competition or anything. It's just going to be a dialogue of trying to. We'll talk about the images as they apply to what Sam teaches for both topics.
Where is the microphone?
Getting going now that we figured out our minor computer catastrophe that we had last week. That seems to be settled now, so we should be good to go. So apologies for the delay. I'm going to start with a couple announcements. We are still looking for a coordinator for outside speakers. We've had Vince doing a wonderful job, and he will be greatly missed, but he's going to step back, and I think he's earned that. So, however, we are looking for someone to fill his big shoes there, and he is here to help to get you started, and as a consultant as well when you have any issues. If you're interested, can you please reach out to me, because if we don't have anybody soon, we may not have outside speakers next year. So, or I'm going to add it onto my duties, and it probably won't be pretty. So the other thing we also have is we have volunteers out there for community outreach. We have some opportunities, I should say, and those are in the newsletter that went out on Friday. We do have our Intro to Photography workshops that we had rescheduled are May 2nd and May 16th. We need some volunteers, of course, but most of all, we need to share, because our deadline registration is the 18th of this month. And if you go to the main Berks Facebook page, you can share from there, and I'll be putting it up on the Instagram shortly too, for that to be able to share there. We'll keep it short and sweet. We got a couple outings, like Vince mentioned. The 11th, we are doing the Foundry over in town, and then on June 13th, that was the date for the Philadelphia Photo Walk. And let's see what else. We have Dutch for tonight, and I'll get to you in a second. And our next presentation is on April 20th, and that will be Composition, Shooting with Intent by Mark Batista. I think you pronounced that correctly. And I'm kind of looking forward to that myself, as a film photographer. But tonight we have Dutch. Dutch, are you ready to go?
I'd be ready.
All right. Well, it is an honor to have you back again. Thank you for coming. And he will be presenting Photographs by Motion. Take it away.
Thank you. Go over there. Oops. Slide this over. Put on the microphone just in case. Can you hear me now? Loud and clear. Oh, that's good. Oh, can you hear me out there in the audience? On Zoom?
We hear you on Zoom.
Okay. Okay, share screen. Okay. Is it up? Is it up? Oh, good. Okay. I just have to make it larger, expand it there. Okay, I'm sorry, hit the from beginning. Okay, that's it. All right, sounds good. Thank you, everybody, for having me back again. It's fun doing these kind of things. It makes me go back and look to see what I've done before and how can I improve what I've done the last time and think of something new and or something else to do. Just initially, my contact information. If you have any questions about whatever I've said or done, feel free to give me a call, text, or whatever. Okay, let me see if we can do this. First, I'd like to mention that the iPad is coming to, whoops. Am I still alive there? Okay, that was the microphone fell, the base, but I got it. The iPad will be up in New York at the Armory, up around 66th Street, April 22nd through the 26th. I go there every year for the last probably 10 years. See all kind of wonderful works from all different galleries from around the world. Photographic prints, you can see Ansel Adams, Edward Westing, and all kind of new art from these galleries that come in and want to present their work and let you see it and so forth. So set your calendar. Seniors, I think, is like $35 or $30, and other tickets are more. I did hear somebody say that if you're a senior, you should do that early because they tend to sell out a little faster because we're getting more mature as we move on. I'm going to go up on Thursday, so if anybody goes up on Thursday, text me. We can touch base and maybe we'll discover some new buildings up there while we're there. Okay. Photographs by motion. I love doing motion photography. I started probably back in 2015. Friend of mine said, "Have you ever done a Zoom with a camera?" I said no, and that started everything. I fell in love with it right then. What this presentation is going to be about is camera and body motion, because not only are you going to move the camera, but you're going to move your body also. So it gives you some exercise, and with your arms and your legs, sort of kneeling down sometimes. And yes, we're mature, so you might need to practice a little bit for getting up, yes. What I'm going to show you here are not all necessarily artworks, but they're more of how to and what I've done in order to prepare for this, because it does take a lot of practice over a long period of time just to get better. And really, you're pre-visualizing what do you want to see in the end. So we'll do that. Yes, therefore instructions. And remember, what you have to do is practice, imagine, practice some more, and imagine, and then just let your juices flow. So it's been a wonderful trip for me. The equipment that we can use now with cell phones the way they are, they're more than capable of making motion images. They're almost wonderful, because you'll find yourself in a position where you're in a restaurant, you're walking along the street or whatever, and you'll see something and, oh, you want to do a motion picture, then you can whip out your cell phone and actually make a motion picture out of it because you see something that really just sparks your interest. I'm a Samsung user, Android, so I'm not that familiar with iPhones, but I will give you some an app that I use for Android for doing motion. You'll have to look it up for your iPhone if you want to do that for an iPhone. And all the other normal equipment that you would use. A DSLR with a zoom lens helps for doing zooming type motion images. A tripod, remote shutter device. You'll see how I use that later on in the presentation. For setups, there's a Lazy Susan turntable that you can manually spin around. Some are motorized that you can have objects there and have them make that motion. Along with that it's nice to have maybe a tent. I bought mine a long time ago, haven't used it much, but they were inexpensive then. With the way things are now, who knows what the prices may be. They may be very expensive. Neutral density filters are really a must for cell phones and for regular cameras, in my point of view. And if you're using it on a DSLR, then I recommend you do the magnetic type, because I've been in situations where I've tried to change the filter on the front, tried to unscrew it and screw it on, and if you don't get it right, it locks up. And I had to break the glass in order to get the ring off, so the magnetic ones just work so much wonderfully. Especially if you might be bending over like a bridge abutment or something, and there's 30 or 40 feet below, and you're trying to screw and unscrew, and all of a sudden now it's gone. So I recommend those highly. I will talk a little bit later about a welding filter, which is what the glass plate is for a welder. I also use a pinhole adapter for the front of my DSLR just to see how that works, and use that as an option. Nothing is off the table, and duct tape. Duct tape is the solution to everything. But nothing is off the table. Whatever you see, whatever is available to you as you progress through this process, use it, try it out, and see what happens. The initial setup, you got to know your camera settings. For me, I do use a user setting on my camera that automatically goes to ISO 50, f-stop of f22, and what else? F-stop, ISO, shutter speed at 30 seconds is what I start off with. A lot of times it's on a tripod, photographing a lake, pond, river, something that's moving. It gives us sort of a soft flow. But from there, I can just change my settings, and depending on the light, wherever I am, just easier to get there than trying to start from scratch and do that and make all those changes at once. They're sort of automatically done when you first flip it to the user mode. And most cameras, newer cameras, have that nowadays. And yes, I'm a manual person, so all my focusing and everything else is manual. I do live view from my old large format camera days. And I don't know anybody, if you're doing motion with a camera or a phone, whether you want to stick it up to your eye and start moving around and maybe have one eye closed and then bump into something. So for me, the live view is much more reasonable and safer. Talk ISO, low ISOs, f-stops very high. Any kind of lens is okay. I mean, you don't have to have a zoom lens. I mean, it could be a prime lens. I talked about live view and cell phones, and I use a RAW for my in my cell phone so that I can get and process images with the most amount of data that's in them when it comes time to do that. So the cell phone challenge as we start off is I use an Android. I have it in the raw image mode, and I have that because I use something called Expert RAW. It's downloaded from Google Apps or Samsung, and it allows you to do several things in there. You can manually set your speed. The f-stop is usually fixed depending on whether you're using a telephoto wide or normal lens. And the ISO is adjustable, and I have a slide next to it. I can go through some of the things that are adjustable on that. Like I say, with an iPhone, I'm not sure. You'd have to go up and learn how to do that or see what they have available that may be similar to what's listed here. Okay, on the left, you'll see down at the second row from the bottom, on the left-hand side is the Expert RAW next to the regular camera image. I need to point to it. It's that one right there. Okay. I downloaded that software, and that gives me access to that raw image on the camera. I use manual mode, and you can see there are adjustments that you can do there. The time, the ISO. This has 3 functions. Some things are limited. It's not like a full DSLR, so things do change. And it has an ND filter. And I'll talk a little bit more about that, but it has an ND filter function. The ND filter function manually goes from, I think, 4 or 5 all the way up to 4096. Now, that's not f-stops, it's not translatable, it's solely a function of the software in the camera that limits the amount of light coming in. So it's not comparable to how many f-stops you're using there. But as you're looking at it at the camera and you're adjusting that, you'll see how the light comes in and out and whether you need to add more or add less or whatever that may be. And with the Samsung, and I have an S24, which is a couple years old. Newer ones may have better features, but the maximum you get for time is 4 seconds on that. So you can't do a 30-second or anything like for the while you're using the ND filter. And any questions, if you're here or if you see somebody raise their hand in the Zoom, let me know and I can answer that. Yes. Is that what?
Middle of the manual mode screen. Just close.
Oh, no, that's mine. Yes. That was when I screenshotted that and so forth. So, okay. Here's one of the images with a ND filter applied. The image on the left, you can see what the stats are up at the very top. F1.8, ISO 50 was 2 seconds long, and it had the ND filter set at 512, which I can't tell you what that means, but it just limited the light, so forth. On the left is the actual raw image or DNG that came out of the camera. I put it into Photoshop, Lightroom, which is my primary form of processing images, and made my adjustments to them. Not a excellent image, not going to be, on a wall or anything like that, but just to show you what the difference is and how they actually look. And this was actually a swipe of the phone from left to right in slow motion over that 2 second period of time. This is also from the cell phone. This is as a passenger in the car. And I'll talk more about those kinds of images later, but if you're a passenger in the car, the back seat or the passenger seat, and you're riding along, there's sometimes when you may see something coming up that may look nice to you, so it's nice to be prepared. So you have your camera set up, you've already looked at the light outside, adjusted the settings so you have the right exposure, what you think would be the right exposure and the right speed and time and so forth. And as you're driving by, you can actually photograph, and I've come up with some interesting images that I've had up in shows and so forth. So it's something to experiment or think while if you and your passengers are not talking and everybody's tired, you may decide just to put that window down and go ahead and make that exposure. This is also while I was riding as a passenger, but just looking at the oh, wait a minute, that close is still up there. Oh, I thought it was only on that one.
Test it, see if it was.
No, it's not you. I've had it. Sorry for the interruption there. One of the things as you're driving around, it's one thing to hold the camera steady and just in one spot and click the exposure button. But there are times in the lower right-hand corner when you may want to, and it's more like what I call tracking, where as you're moving along the highway, whatever speed you're going, and we'll talk a little bit about that later, is that you see something coming up that might be outstanding, like this particular tree. All the other trees around it were green, and this red one sort of stuck out to me, and I saw it coming up. So as we were driving by it, I clicked the exposure button and actually twisted the camera as we rode by it so that the red tree stayed in the center of the image. That really indicates, or not indicate, that really gives a sense of more sharpness to that particular part of that particular image. So you'll see that fuzziness around, but generally it's a little more sharp. Now it does get sharper than that. I've had images that are really pretty good. Using a cell phone is still a little clunky. You have to get used to it and have to feel comfortable with it in order to move your hands around properly to get what you want. Of course, you see that in your gallery and you can see that right away, and then you'll look at the next possible image coming up and you'll make adjustments, and it's that practice and doing it and practice and doing it, and you have to do a lot of that. So since 2015, I've been doing it for about 11 years. Usually, no matter where I go, I usually take a few motion pictures just because I find things that are interesting there. I just want to photograph them. Of course, rivers and all that kind of stuff are fun to photograph. They're sort of already in motion, and depends on how still you stand. Picture on the right, you can see the rocks are pretty sharp, but on the left, they're a little bit fuzzy. So there was some movement in the cell phone as I took that picture. And the end result really is what you really want to see or what you're trying to visualize, so that when you take it, you may want those rocks to be wavy. You may not want the rocks to be wavy. It really is a matter of making that experiment, looking at it, and letting your voice come out in whatever you want to photograph there, or how you want to see it. And I have found that as I do that, I get more inspired by different things, and I practice really holding the phone in certain positions so that when I either twist it or move it, that all of the image that I want included is in the frame and not just a random spot. So like I said, it does take a lot of practice and awareness of what you're trying to do. While you're sitting around your house, you can always find things that you can photograph. The image on the left is just a pillow with a circular motion, just twisting. And the image on the right is just a doorway with a round window in it and just doing a straight up drag. So you can learn your techniques or practice those techniques with a cell phone as opposed to a DSLR, and just see what they look like. You can delete them if you don't think they're worth, importing or processing or anything like that. And just a few more that isolating an image, or and I like to focus in on I guess the architectural aspects of it. Circles, lines, and those kind of things are really what draws me into making motion images and photographing those. I talked about the welding glass. In the early stages before the ND filters, in order to get something, I bought a welding glass from Home Depot. I think it was $5. It's about 3 inches by 6 inches. I cut it down. I just held it in front of the camera and went out and took a picture of it. Now, yes, it really comes out green because the welding glasses that they put in the helmets are green. So after setting the exposure that I wanted, I put it in Photoshop or Lightroom, and then you can turn it into a black and white image or something like that. So you'll get a color out of it, but the color to me is just going to be green. So and I'm more of a black and white person, so that was all right for me to experiment with. I only did this a few times. It really comes up grainy. It wasn't the style of image that I usually like to photograph. I'm more of an architectural with a building with a lot of details and sharp lines and so forth. So, but it is an option for if you're in that art mood to try something new and discover. Subject matter is almost anything. Just keep it simple. I would suggest trying to stay away from bright lights that are sort of separated from everything else, because they make lines and so forth, whether you're twisting or however you're doing that are just opaque, just pure white. There's no detail, no anything in them that's good. So you sort of have to consider when you make your exposure and you're looking to make one, that the light that's in that is muted or low level or something like that, so you can get some kind of detail out of it. Otherwise, it sort of makes it as a harsh, contrasty image. It may be something you like, so that's up to you. Like I said, I like the specific lines and angles and shapes. I like to get in close on subjects. And is something really sharp required? It's really a matter of taste. For me, I like that, but it's not necessary for me. I don't make that as a rule. I like to break the rules in that kind of sense. So just play around and see what it feels like to you. And I do try to pre-visualize when I go out to photograph, even with the motion images. just to get my mind thinking in those terms. There's all kind of motion styles that you can do. I started out with some of these that are listed here. And I'll demonstrate some of those, but zooming in and out is the typical zoom that most people start off with, which is what I did. But you can also zoom in segments. You're sitting on a tripod. You take one exposure, you turn your zoom a little bit and take another exposure, a zoom a little bit more and take another one, and however many exposures you want to do. There's also what I called a zoom, pause, zoom, which you zoom, you pause, and then you zoom back out again. There's all kind of camera movements that you do. I use my body when I photograph a lot. If I see something on the ground in particular, I'm usually looking down at that, and I'm just twisting the camera around during that 2-3 seconds. It's typical of what I use for that, just to see what kind of different shape or form I can make that object that I see, make that look different or unusual or outstanding, or like slap you in the face and say, look at this. And the rest of that gets a little more too involved. Motion other, there's what I call still motion. It's usually setting it on a tripod, and we'll talk about like photographing maybe some people walking by or something like that. Sometimes you move the camera while it's on the tripod through a particular time period because you want something in centered focus. And tripods are much better at keeping something in focus, like in the center, if you're going to do a twist to it. Riding or driving as a passenger. We'll talk a little bit more about that. All right, we'll start off first with some zooming in and zooming out. This is what I call a pause zoom. So it's set for what? How many? Let's block them. 2.5 seconds. So you initially click the shutter release and you stay there for a second, and then you move the zoom lens, and you now have a zoom, the top image, with something that's sharp in there, and then the rest of it zooms out. Now this is just happened to be sitting in the car and just experimenting and doing things and say, oh, why don't I try that? So it can also be done the opposite way. You can zoom for the first second and a half and then hold it for 5 seconds. It's all just open to your own interpretation, however you feel about that, whatever you want to do, and those kind of things. And the second one on the bottom is typically a straight continuous zoom, whether that's zooming in and or zooming out. Here's where I talked about being on a tripod and taking successive images and just zooming the lens in a little bit. I went through the full range of this particular zoom on this particular image, and I estimated how many I could do in equal increments. So this was 6. So I had to practice a little bit to say that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in somewhat, in my estimation, equal increments. So it was really just a guess. So it's almost like separate images placed one on top of the other. There's also straight zooming and getting close onto something. One on the left is the Carry Steel. I don't know if they're still open yet, but you were able to walk through the steel plant, and we had tripods, and just saw this one thing that just the V shape of the steel and the bolts sticking out just drew my attention. I was in Florida down at the powwow, and there was dancing in a gymnasium. It was up on the upper tier, and just had a zoom and just zoomed in and out on this powwow dancer that just drew my attention there. So, yes, question. Oh, the 13th of a second? Oh, yes. He asked, was I zooming in and out on the powwow dancer? And no, I was not. That's just a one-directional zoom. Typically, it depends on how your hand is. If my hand is over top, it's usually from in to out. If it's underneath, it's out to in. It depends on how you're holding it and so forth. So, and what you get accustomed to doing. I mean, sometimes you get used to doing the same thing over and over again. Yeah, you get good at that, but for me, you should try to do something different in order to create something new, something that may be even more exciting than what you're doing now. So. Just walking along the street and seeing something up in New York, Christmas time, I guess, several years ago. Just these structured lights that were sitting in a row there and had some curves to them, and just twisting the lens slowly, not a quick one, but over that half of a second, just moving it enough to get those lines just to come straight on out. So, and everything else in there was not necessarily sharp, the walls and so forth. They have some, to me, that image has some dimension to it. It just looks like that light is coming and breaking through the cracks in the wall. Again, no matter where you are, experimenting, looking at that light. Now, the picture on the left, there was light coming in the window there. So that, yes, it was a little bit challenging to get enough of an exposure and to get enough or as much ND filter on it as I could. So that may have been, I didn't write it down here, that may have been a ND10 filter, or I may have doubled them up and had more of that. It all really depends. So at f4 and a half a second, so ISO 140. Picture on the right, just a reed down in Florida in the, they have these really leaves that have branches or leaves that come out that are like 2, 3, 4 feet long. Again, when you see something, it really is just a matter of taking out your camera, your cell phone, and photographing it using the speeds and ISO and so forth that we've talked about, and just doing some kind of motion and see if that one resonates with you. And if it does, then do it again and do it again. And like I say, you do have to hold your camera or phone in the proper direction if you're going to move it, so that you have everything in there that you want to have inside of the image. So I did make a note. I had a discussion with another photographer that when you do zooms, physically, as you're zooming out, the lens and body, or the lens and the lens tube or enclosure, moves out. So there's air being drawn in behind it, because as a matter of science, and when you pull it back, it pushes it all out. If you're in a dusty environment, it is good to check your sensor frequently to make sure it's working well. If it's just dust, blowing it out should take care of all that issue there. Slow and steady on tripods, just a window, and set up lines, and just a slow movement of the barrel to move the zoom back, and that just worked well for me. I like the lines, the horizontal lines, the vertical lines, and they just worked well for me. The lines are what really drew me to photograph that one. One of those on the right-hand side, one of those crystal balls. I mean, you go out and buy those or whatever. And I used to carry that around with me. They get so heavy anymore, but I used to carry it around with me and place it on different objects and include it in some of the images I made, because you get an image that's, I think, upside down with it sometimes. If you're like, it's on the floor, you can photograph it, get on the floor, and it's upside down. But then you can also use it in a motion image. you can actually motion image anything. It really doesn't matter. I mean, I could look around the room and decide that, I don't know, the door over there, I could do something with the door. You could move it left and right, the red door with the glass in the middle. Twist it, zoom in, zoom out. It's all kind of things you want to play around with just to see what's possible there and what tweaks your fancy. And if you're looking for something different other than what you're doing now, you may have a new love in your life. Trees are also wonderful to do that too. So these are the two trees that I photographed at the Mars Arboretum. I prefer doing trees that don't have leaves on them. I don't want to call them dead trees, but both these were barren of any tree life, so leaves or anything. Big what? Winter, yes, yes. Also, it can be done in infrared. I've done some in infrared that the image on the right. The speed of like I say, using the live view or looking at the back of your camera and just seeing how that operates and whether that's really what you want to get out of that particular image. And most of these are what I actually saw and later on envisioned and say, yeah, I really like that. I like how that sort of has just a soft, fuzzy feeling to it. Again, lines and shapes, and they excite me. No, most of the question was, am I using a tripod for most of these? No, most of these I use a handheld because when I'm walking either New York or anywhere else, I just like the freedom of being able to move the body around, and you can't really do that a lot with a tripod. You either have to set that down, disconnect the camera from it. So in general, most of mine are free form, let's say. But there are times when I'll go in, I have the tripod with me and I'm photographing something that I enjoy that may be structural with lines and angles and just decide, oh, let me see what that looks like if I do a twist or a turn or a swipe or something. Photographing flowers, they generally have an explosive nature. Generally, I like to try to focus in on I don't mean singularities, but sort of isolate something. Generally, if there's too much in the background, it gets really pretty fuzzy or doesn't have a whole lot of context to it. Another style is the twist of the zoom, which is really making it look like a circle, which I like, but it's not easy. I haven't found a lot of really good results from it that I like. You may have a different approach. The image on the left is, again, back up at Carey Steel, and just a wheel for locking a valve or something like that that interested me. And there was not much behind it, so yes, the yellow valve stands out. I have tried photographing and doing words in motion, like from a plaque with a whole lot of people's names on there and just twisting and photographing that. And the first attempt is maybe it's all blurry. And as I continue to do that and learn from that for the first time, I get to where I now see Ann's name in the very left-hand side of it, which is a lot more sharp, and you can actually see her name. Or, well, it says Ann, but that may be man, M-A-N-N. Anyway, but experimenting with that brings out those things that you want to see or that you didn't see before this. You say, oh, wow, I didn't know that, or I didn't see that. Circular motions on trees. Now, the one on the left is partially circled. There are sometimes when I circle and also zoom at the same time. So it really is a matter of what you're feeling at that time, what you see at that time, and what you get back as that result when you've seen it either live view and you're looking at the gallery from it, or you've taken it back to your computer, now you're processing, and now you see what that would actually happen there. On the right-hand side is just underneath of an umbrella. I mean, there's so much stuff out there, no matter where you are, there's always something that's has a potential to be made into a motion image. Buildings, I love doing buildings. The grate on the ground on the left is just a floor grate somewhere on the streets of New York. Oh, am I taking the color out of these images? Typically, yes, mostly I convert to black and white. But I also, for all my image, use out of Lightroom, there's I'm sorry, out of Silver FX Pro, which I use, there's a number 19 profile, the number 19, the color you make an image. Oh, why is it? No. On the right-hand side down the bottom. For making it like an old image, sepia tone. I use a number 19 sepia tone as my toner. That's for all my images. So when I do that, I click on that out of Silver FX Pro. So yes, most of my image I do turn to black and white eventually. This particular image intrigued me because I was in a museum, an art gallery, and up above they had long rows of 8-foot lights in sort of rectangular shapes in the ceiling, and they had a black reflective floor. So as I looked at the floor, it was seeing, it was a shiny floor, and it just the lights reflected in that. So I walked around there, and as I walked around, I decided to circle just a little bit to see how that worked. It wasn't a full circle or a fast circle. These are rather slow. I didn't put up the time and stats on this. But as I began to do this, I sort of saw other things in that image. Like for me, there's like a little spider or a little bug with its antenna sticking out or its teeth sticking out or something like that. So you can find this kind of stuff in everything that you do. Doors. I had an exhibition down in Wilson. Pardon me. And I photographed a lot of Wilson, North Carolina, the doors, because they had very colorful doors down there. They had painted, on the left-hand side is a transformer compartment for electricity for the building that was in a parking lot. And walking through the park, it was right next to a yellow building, fully yellow building on the outside. So I just liked the way that looked, and just a slight twist and curve. And the building is relatively identifiable as it is. And on the right side of that, it looks like maybe a blue face with an eye. So your vision is what you need to do. Like I say, trees are always nice to do. It's not my favorite because trees usually have a lot of light behind them, sometimes too bright of a light, and they sometimes come through too much and cause just white splotches to go through an image. So it's not as easy to do trees for me that include parts of the sky that are become too bright. There's also in camera where you can do multiple exposures on the same image. With this particular camera I'm using, I took 10 exposures and moved just a little bit away from each one. So it gives you your first exposure. That exposure stays there so you can see when you do your next one where you want to put that one. So I can make the line of the top of with the red and the white stems. I could photograph the first one. It saves it, and then I'm ready to shoot the next one, but I can move my camera so it follows along with that, so I can create that line that goes along there. It's not just a happenstance, it's actually purposely done that particular way. The image on the right with the yellow was after I did this one, I wanted to do something that was in a circular motion. So I just stood and I focused in on the very center of it where there are no leaves to try to keep that in the center. I just took 10 exposures and each time moved up hopefully about the same amount and just twisted until I got all 10 of them within that exposure. And that gives me one exposure on the, I think it's a JPEG on the cap. And this is just another set of the same things. You can see the blue in the left-hand side of each number of the times that I used or photographed. And kept that one section of yellow in the very center, because that was just a sort of the only yellow part that was in that particular frame. So everything was centered around that. Then we have what you would call probably light in motion. Going out where somebody takes the light out and will wave it around, and you can photograph that particular kind of motion that's in there. Of course, there's somebody in that image walking up and down, but your exposure, and what was it, a 30-second exposure. So the person moving, you're not really going to see them because they're moving so much. They're not going to be very clear in that. F22 ISO 5000. It was taken at night at the cemetery out Mount Moriah. Yes. Oh, it's right there. Thank you. Mariah on a night photographic expedition. So that's why the sky is as bright as it is in the back and so forth. So
it was dark that time?
Oh, yes, it was absolutely dark. There were no lights in the cemetery, no lights really around it. We were pretty much in this very center of the cemetery. So it is nice if you're ever out on a camping trip or somewhere like that, then if you got a lamp or something you can put on to show, or have a kid or another relative or a friend or whatever run around with a light or something like that, you can expose and come up with a lot of different things. White Hill Mansion, I just happened to see these bottles sitting up on top of this chest of drawers. And with me, I had one of those, and this was on a tripod. I had one of those little fluorescent things you can like get at Home Depot and just spin around. So I set the timer up, had a remote. I went over to the bottles and just tried to see if I could spin the light up as if it might be coming out of one of the bottles. It's a bit of a fail because it doesn't come directly out of the bottles like it really should have, but it is a way of showing you that you can create these yourselves just by doing, like I say, everything is on the table. No matter what you do, you can find something that you'll photograph that'll say, wow, that's really interesting. I like what that did. And you may find that this particular style works for you, and you may move in that direction for some time. So some of you may have gone down to the Chester County Firehouse for the fire. Were you there? Okay. There was a guy there. There was along with Berkheister, Mark Bergquist. I think he led it that particular night, and he had a couple guys with him, and they had the long tubes that they spun all this kind of stuff around. So yes, these were on a tripod, and photographed those over a period of time and so forth. So that was a very interesting. It's like the opening image I had in there where one guy was spinning fire above and on the and
Just steel wool.
Steel wool, yes. And then there's always people that are in motion. This one is at the Bank of China in New York, my favorite building. So it was at night, right across from Byron Park. And I'm sitting on the ground and just had my camera out. It was on a gorilla pod, which is a little small thing. So I just set that on the ground. And as people walked by, it was just, clicking, clicking, clicking. Or in Rockefeller Center, down in the basement where the cafeterias are, photographing the person walking by there. So there are a lot of times when you can include people in your images, just walking along the street. I had a little Sony lens camera, which is just a round lens, no body, and it's just something that you can carry around and just click the button and photograph. So very surreptitiously. Although you don't really have to do that in New York. People in New York really don't seem to care. But just walking with the camera on my side and just seeing something and photographing it and just, wow, that looks pretty nice. And setting up the speed and everything so that it photographs at the speed that I wanted. And I love those lines. I just like lines in images, so. Philadelphia at City Hall, just watching the people walk up and down the stairway to the subway. Just having them having the building sharp and the walkway up and down sharp and the people just, fading into it and being in that part in motion. Or in Penn's Landing, I saw a little, not a workshop, but a little walk with Unique Photo. And there was just this woman there who had on this red jacket. And my favorite color is red. So I stopped her and asked her, do you mind walking this way and let me photograph you? So I did some motion while she was doing that. So it just struck me as nice. I like the main line going up the front of through the center of the image and the red off to the left a little bit and a few lines that are on the right-hand side. And it was a blue sky with clouds, so it wasn't too blown out. Camera motion other. Like I say, I've used a photo box that made out of lemon, 36 by 36, has an opening in the front. You put lights on the side that'll shine through, but they're muted because of the white cloth or whatever that is. And I had a Lazy Susan in there, so I put different objects on there and spun that around while my camera was on a tripod so that I could take pictures of those things that were spinning around in there. Just a regular paper plate and a rose laying on a paper plate is the left side image, and just moving the camera in one direction or another to get something to come back at you. And I like the radiating lines coming at it from the paper plate, but I doubt if you know that it's a paper plate unless I tell you that's what that is. A chain on a whistle, just sitting on a piece of white cloth and so forth. Looks like a turtle with getting ready to snap at you. Same with these two. The bottom right is another paper plate with the rose, the flower. My wife likes to do a lot of flower vase arrangements and so forth. So sometimes when they're finished, I take them, but sometimes before they're at the end of life, I may take them out and put them down and use them to make a little image or something like that. Usually something in motion. I was you might say fortunate, but I was on the SEPTA train, and we are going back from Center City back to my direction in the house, and we were able to get into the very front seat of the car and just looking through the window, and it was just wonderful to see the train tracks moving in a different direction when you made that slow motion exposure, and just something that I felt that was unique. We'll talk a little bit more about riding trains later. And on the right was at the Javits Center, and you're going down an escalator, so you just stand very still, and you're looking at your camera, and you take that exposure at 1 second, and you're moving, so the metal steps are stationary or look stationary, but the sides are actually the ones that are moving back and forth. Again, just finding anything you have around your house, photograph it and see if you make something motion of it that may inspire you in the future. It may not. I mean, if it doesn't, then get away and try to do something else. Same thing with these. Isolating things, lines, and flowers are nice things to try and experiment with. As setups, this is one of my favorite images on the left. It's been in quite a few exhibitions and awards, and it's just a metal wire basket sitting on a table, and you just give it a little bit of a twist as you go around, and that's the one on the left. You give it more of a twist on the right from a different angle, and it just gives a totally different appearance. So it's the experimentation, it's the wow factor after the fact that you've actually taken and see something that, wow, that really looks pretty good. And you want to keep on doing that over and over again. I've also done it with just a pinhole adapter on the front of the lens. I don't do this often because it's a little pinhole in there, and the dust you have to be concerned about, so you have to keep it clean. But yeah, they're already blurry, and you can just make little movements and continue that sense of motion in those kind of images diagonally. You can do all kinds of things with that. I mean, I may have done this and see the highest ISO. I may have done this 5 or 6 times, but that was it for me. It didn't lead me or drag me into deciding to do, I want to do more and more and more. And this is just one other out at the Curtis Park, photographing a tree, just doing a regular swipe left to right. Okay, traveling motion. Some of the ways I would set up my camera in the car. Duct tape is always a good thing to have with a remote sensor. I mean, a remote shutter. Now, this is not traveling at 70 miles an hour down the highway. This is going through deserted parks or that kind of thing where there's no traffic driving up and down. So no, it doesn't need to be specifically hardwired in, screwed in, or necessarily. The other thing, like I say, is duct tape, taking the black cloth and wrapping it around the front of the window. Now this, yes, for higher speeds, driving on a highway, going somewhere with a remote control. And as you're driving with both hands on the wheel, I mean, looking forward, oh, look at, and I like bridges a lot. So as I'm driving, I try to avoid being next to trucks because they're too high and so forth. So as I'm driving by, just clicking all the way, and not looking at what's on the camera because the camera's over there, but just driving and doing a lot of clicking with the thumb or whatever that is in order to take a lot of images. So to see how that works out. One of the other things I didn't mention though is it's always nice to have a rubber lens cap that it sort of extends back. Because you see right now I'm putting it up against a window here, but there are other places that you would prefer to do that. And that would be like on a train. I was going back and forth to Vermont frequently, and what I would do is get on the train in Philly and I would look for a window that was clean. So, and with the sun on the opposite side. So that while I was photographing outside the window, I wouldn't be looking directly into the sun. So what that requires though is that you really have to pre-focus on something because you're not sitting there focusing. Your camera's up against the glass with the rubber lens hood, and you've exposed for what the normal light is for the day and approximately what kind of building or person and how far away they may be, so that there's some sharpness or focus that you might be able to obtain, if depending on what shutter speeds you're using, etc. So these are the buildings that I found there, and yes, I do twist while on the window, while the camera's up against the window, twisting it left and right to sort of, as the train is moving, focus on that one particular aspect of it so that stays in the center, and moving the lens so it makes everything else blurry and helps to keep that one thing you're focused on sharp. Question? No. And both of these are on a Vermonter going up to Vermont on a train. These are too. Here we're coming slowly to a stop at a station, and the one guy is pushing the cart down with the baggage on it and everything. So while he's doing it, I just, oh wow, look at that. It's sort of like seeing something that's happening ahead and sort of getting ready for it, because I keep my camera to the window while I'm riding and I'm looking to see what else is coming up. And I know you get to see, oh, look, there's somebody pushing. Maybe that might be interesting. And you wait for that to happen and decide to take that 1, 2, or 3 clicks. So now, no, I don't, for these images, I take one click. For this guy, maybe I took 2 because it was, or 3 because it was, we were moving and was slow, and I want to make sure I got him in the frame right. Again, all of these are all on the Amtrak train. And sometimes you're on you could be on a New Jersey Transit going up to New York, and the Amtrak whizzes by you at 59, or I'm sorry, 109 miles an hour, or whatever that is sometimes. So you sort of hear the horn beep and, oh, well, because it's going to vibrate the New Jersey Transit line that you're on. So you sort of wait for that. But that's what that top one is. The bottom one is looks a little bit like water coming or cresting over, or waves. But that's really just actually a landscape of just trees and grass on the side of the road. It was actually just as I drove by, and I was a passenger. My wife was driving, and I just took it and tilted it and twisted a little bit, and it just smoothly went around. It just surprised me. I sort of wondered, wow, that sort of looks interesting, as not what I saw, but what it appears to be. Got that guy again. The color one on the bottom with the one tree is one of, I was out with Richard Lewis at the Pinelands, and I was leaving and going down this just dirt road, and I saw these trees that were sort of individual. So I got over to the left-hand side. It's not a road, it's all just gravel and dirt, and it's probably 15 feet wide. And there was no traffic, no cars or anything on there. So I was going about 2 or 3 miles an hour. So I had the camera in my hand on this side. I'm driving with this one. And I would see the tree coming up. And as I passed by, I would make that exposure, but I would twist the camera in order to keep the tree centered. And that's why you see the motion is more of a oblique one rather than a circular one. So that doing that particular action sort of makes it twist. And you'll see that in a couple more images here. It's also just something different I tried that I experimented with, and I don't know if it really works yet, but I will experiment some more. But just down at one of the, I don't know, marshes, stopped on the road, took the tripod out, and I set up and I exposed this particular image, but it was a 30-second exposure, and it was a very windy day. So all these branches are all blowing back, or bushes or whatever they are. I want to see how they compared for a motion image with whatever else is around that. Nothing I think is great or outstanding about this, but just a different technique that you use that for something you're doing may work for you and may give you something that's very worthwhile. But this was an experiment for me to see how that actually worked. And again, just driving by with a dirt road and photographing out the window. This is pretty much the same technique, but this is late at night. This is probably around 2 o'clock in the morning, traveling and making a left-hand turn and having the camera on my shoulder and doing that exposure again while I'm watching the actual road. I'm not looking at what I'm doing. It is a matter of practice and just following what what you're taking a picture of and so forth. So there was this no turn on red sign right there, and I'm just going around the corner. Then all these stores were there. They were all closed. It was like Christmas time or something like that, where most people have leave their lights on and that kind of thing. So it was just an interesting exposure for me.
A technique not endorsed by EPS.
No, it's not endorsed by Dutch or anybody else. It's a matter of you know, for me, when you go out and do these kind of things, it's a matter of paying attention to what's around you and making a conscious decision that, yes, this is not good, or, you know, you can't do this or should not do this, or, you know, it doesn't make any sense. To me, if you're on a dirt road, like I say, there's nothing in front of you or back of you, and you're going 2 or 3 miles an hour, yeah, you can do that. I mean, for me, I don't look at what I'm actually doing. I know where that is, and I'm just turning. I do see ahead that there's something interesting that looks like it's coming up. So just get prepared and do your regular thing. Again, making another turn with just some interesting lights that were sitting on the side of the road. the L overhead down in Philadelphia. As you see, there are no cars in front and again, these are like one, pardon me. 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning when there's limited traffic anywhere. Oh, Glenside Avenue, not too far from me. The top one again was Christmas time. Like I say, very late at night, and just having the camera sit on the front of the dashboard and driving down and hitting the click button and just having all the lights just pass by. You can see the car hood down in the very bottom of that. And on the lower right, which is an interesting way to photograph, is they have these circles. What you see down in the bottom right is a probably 10-foot in diameter circle in the middle of Glenside, PA. And you can drive around it. Oh, thank you. And as I did that, you just photograph and hold it, and you get a circular vision of all the all direction, all 180, all 390 or 360 degrees of this particular image. Again, Glenside, the upper right, they have some lights on a wall underneath a trestle for the train, and just driving through, again, the camera sitting there, just hitting that remote. Remotes are good. The one with the season, I was at a stoplight and just sitting there, like I could, nobody behind me, nobody in front of me, and just looked out the window. Oh, so well, that's pretty interesting. Click and just a twist. Okay. I love being a passenger on the road, especially with these trees. They find it safer. It is much safer. I agree. But again, eyeing and pre-visualizing, looking up front ahead of yourself to see what's up there. These were part of a exhibition I had down in the Space Gallery down in Center City, Philadelphia. Going along, I love looking at the abutments. Now, this was a long trip back, like from New York back to Philadelphia, and I'm in the passenger in the back seat. But as I'm going down each abutment or overpass, I'm looking to see what it's going to be like, and I say, oh, click and move it, click and move it as we're going by. So probably, I don't know, 40 or 50 pictures of that happened that day. Like I said, I love the trees. I love the sweep of the lines and the grass in the very bottom image there. And that comes from turning that camera while you're actually moving. So you're moving and the camera's turning this way. And just other different objects, more of abstractions, as I call them. Just seeing something and moving that camera. And these are all ordinary things that you would see walking down the street. A gate going into a field. Left is the black and white checkerboard squares at a garage in one of the old car garage workshops that they give. Just to note, the image on the right is the second image I did on the pier with the woman I said was in the red jacket and so forth. So I think I did this one first, and then I saw her and asked her if she would, do the same thing. Just things on wall. It really doesn't matter what you see. And the rest of this presentation is really pretty much those different images that I've seen that have drawn my attention and said there's something there that I see that I don't necessarily know what it is, but it just looks good to me. Just regular swipes on buildings. One of my other favorites is the yellow lines. These are down in Wilson, North Carolina, and Wilson is a very small town, but there is no traffic down there. They have a main street that's probably 4 or 5 blocks long. Everything else is, they have 2 stoplights in the town, and you can stand in the center of the street and you won't see a car for 5, 7 minutes or so. So I would go out and I'd take a look at that. I'd take my camera and bend down, and this is where I use most of my body, where I twist it and move it so that I get more, rather than a straight swipe, there is some movement to the yellow lines that you see how they're sort of, I don't know, wavy or whatever. But I love doing those yellow lines like that. Again, anything you see that just a canopy, a railway. The image to the left, I have to thank Vince for, because he told me about Salmagundi up in New York, the Salmagundi Club, and I entered that particular exhibition, and that was one of the images that got in. So thank you. Being at an amusement park on the left-hand side, there's always movement there. It depends on how you want to capture that particular part. Yes, there's some movement and some zooming as part of this. It can be anything, any combination of those things that I just explained to you. You guys may recognize the image on the left.
Out about.
No sound.
Another sound. Sound now. Well, I'm gonna leave. I think you were done anyway, right?
There.
Can you hear us now?
Nice reverberation.
Yes.
Your camera is off there. Now you can talk.
Does anybody have any questions? Hopefully you can hear me. Oh,
Can you guys
maybe not.
hear out there?
No, I don't think.
Yes, we can hear now.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
good, good. Dutch is asking if
Just-
you have any questions.
Dutch,
Yes,
it's Julie Stauffer. Have you ever used an app on your Android called Blurristic? Or have you
no,
ever
I have
heard of
not.
it? Okay, I think it's a newish app for both Apple and Android, and it does interesting blurred settings.
Okay,
So-
I'll write that down and try it out.
Okay,
Julie, can you repeat it?
it's Blurristic, Bluristic. I find it complicated, but I think if you read all the directions, you can use it. And I've tried to use it on the beach with people walking on the beach.
Is it just for motion photography?
It's just for blurred photography, yeah.
$5 app.
Oh, huh.
What I have filmed to buy.
Well, it might be worth it. Don't
We'll
they give
try it
you,
and see.
don't they give you a 7-day trial?
Usually,
Yeah.
most of those will that have a subscription.
That's very creative, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
definitely.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Everybody have a good, safe night.
I have a question. How do you get F00?
F-32.
How do I get F32?
No, 00.
No, there was a 00 on there. F 0.0. Was that a mistake?
It wasn't.
That was probably a mistake that in what I wrote there. So I'll go back and check that.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you. Thank you.
I figured it was a typo.
That would be a very expensive plane.
Yeah, no kidding.
Very expensive planes.
Are we still on? Still on?
We're still on. We're still on.
Well, I just want to come up and thank Dutch for a great creative presentation, and
Thank you.
hopefully we'll see a lot of the members out on April 15 for the Sam Abel follow-up. Thanks, Dutch.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
It's a pleasure, to see you speak, Dutch. I love listening to you.